Hello everyone, welcome back to Great Brick Creations. My name is Michaela, and today I'm going to be doing another embroidery project. Today I'm going to be making a house, and it's going to be a housewarming gift for a close friend of mine. So come along and see how it turns out. Thanks for watching! To start this project out, I just downloaded a picture of the house off of Google Maps and uploaded it onto my iPad, and then I basically used Procreate to trace over the house and make it into just a black and white outline. Once I had done that, I uploaded that image into Canva, and now I am just putting it into Microsoft Word so I can print it out and trace over it on the fabric that I'm going to embroider. For this one I am going to use a black hoop, so I went ahead and just measured how big that hoop was so that I could make my circle the same size when I printed it out. After getting this printed out, I went ahead and put the hoop over the top of it just to make sure it is the right size. Looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and get my fabric cut out so then I can trace the image onto the fabric. After getting the fabric tight in the hoop, it's time to use my tracing table to go ahead and trace this on. This was a little bit challenging. I couldn't quite see all the details I wanted to see, but in the end it worked out just fine. Here I am using the same friction pens that I have used in my previous videos. Like I've said, I really love these pens for these kinds of projects because once I am done with my embroidery, I just use a blow dryer to heat the fabric and the pen up, and it just basically disappears off of the fabric. I really like this option as compared to the sticky transfer water soluble paper. I always just feel like the water soluble paper doesn't come off super cleanly. Here you can see that traced out image. Now I'm ready to flip this around in the hoop. I wanted to mark some spots to show exactly where I had it centered, just to make sure I get it really centered well when I flip it around. And now I'm going to get this into the hoop the correct way, get it tightened, get the fabric tightened, and then I'm going to go ahead and get started on the embroidery. Even though this is just going to be a black and white outline of the house, I did want to pick some colors for the tree. I actually want to do the tree with some greens, and then I'm going to do the tree trunk in a nice brown color. I picked these 3 greens to start with, but then I was feeling like the one was a little bit dark and I wanted them to be a little bit lighter, so I decided to go with kind of this lighter yellowish green versus the darker green. I'm going to start this out by first doing the outline of the house and then doing the tree. When I'm starting the outline of this house, I am using 3 strands of black floss, and I am going to do the outline with a stem stitch. Since I didn't have to change colors at any point or do any different stitches for the outline of the house, this part of the project actually went pretty quickly because I could just keep using the same floss and the same needle. So yeah, it didn't really take me too long to fill this outline in. few details on the house outline that I originally wanted to incorporate, but after getting it traced onto the fabric from the image, I realized that it just wasn't going to work. I just couldn't get that small of details into the piece without making it look kind of silly. I am still using 3 strands of floss for the outline of the garage door. You'll see here shortly that once I was working on the interior pattern of the garage door, I changed over to 1 strand of floss. I did this in order to just add some depth to that garage door. Also, my lap under my embroidery project has become my cat's new favorite spot to hang out. I'm just waiting for the day I accidentally stab him. Hopefully that never happens because he really does like to cuddle up there. Here you can see a little bit more of an up close of me using that single strand of floss with the stem stitch to finish up the interior patterns on that garage door. Just like with the garage door, I am using a single strand of floss to finish up these siding. They're the siding lines for the house. I did a single strand of floss for these as well, just like I said for the garage door, just to add some depth and some differentiation of the different patterns on the house. Here I'm just wrapping up the final little section of the house outline, and once I am done with this part, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the tree. I actually forgot that after I finished up the house outline, I went ahead and did the lettering at the bottom. This was my first attempt at some lettering on a project like this, and I'm not super thrilled with how it turned out. It didn't turn out terrible, but there are definitely sections that I would like to improve on. I might try a different stitch on the next project I do that has some lettering on it. I used 2 strands of floss and the stem stitch on the lettering on this one. The only thing I didn't like is I felt like on the 0s and the 8s that it kind of like pulled the stitching in towards the middle. So yeah, I'll have to figure out how to fix that on the next one. Now that I've started the tree, I'm just doing some French knots here. I am using 2 strands of floss for this, and right now I'm just starting with one of the green colors. I figured I'd go through and kind of fill in this color, and then I'll go back and use the next color, and then go back and use the 3rd color. I'm using the same number of strands of floss for each color, so they will all look even. As I'm filling these green colors in, I'm also purposefully leaving some space in between the French knots to give it a more realistic tree look, because when you look at a tree, you don't always see like a solid patch of leaves. Usually there's a little bit of open air in between the leaves. So I want to make sure to leave some open white space to make it look a little bit more realistic. This light green / yellowy color is the last green I'm going to be doing on this tree. So after I get this filled in, I'm going to go ahead and work on the tree trunk. Now for the tree trunk, I'm going to use a long and short stitch to fill this in, kind of give it some different texture and make it look kind of like tree bark does on an actual tree. Now that I have the overall embroidery done on this one, it's time to get rid of the markings from the pen. Like I said, I like to use these friction pens because I literally just take a blow dryer and it's like it just dissolves off of the fabric. And the next step is to finish up the back. For the back, I've really started to like just adding in some felt over the stitching on the back so it kind of hides the mess that the back of an embroidery project becomes. And then I've just been cutting the cotton fabric and hot gluing it onto the hoop. I've found this kind of gives a nice clean finish look without making it too complicated. I've also found that if I cut the fabric to just the right length, once I glue it down, I can kind of tuck the end under the hoop so that it gives the impression that the fabric is going all the way around the hoop. Here I'm just gluing down that last piece, and then here you can see the final finished back product. Alright, and here you can see the final finished product. I added a cute little ribbon to the top. This one turned out really cute. I can't wait to gift this. Thanks for watching.